Man, those poor Broncos. Those poor Broncos. Bo Nix? More like no Nix. Quinn? Quinn? Apologies, Knicks family, for the cringe. All wishes to you. But welcome to the DQ Frenzy, where we got the chill vibes and we got the cold takes, as always. And Quinn, they just, each week tops itself. We had one of the most wild card weekends ever. And the divisional round, while there was one little game that stood out, blowout, and maybe another game that was kind of like a foregone conclusion, Texans. The other games were fun to watch. I mean, it's the most, we said it's the most wide open playoffs, which is funny because the championship games are both 2-1 seats, but fun, lots of fun.
Fun.
Exactly. And we'll get right into those games. First, we got to go to what I think, and I think you'd agree to, was the game of the weekend, was the Bills at the Broncos. Quinn called it. I didn't. I rode that Bills hopium too much, but Broncos somehow found a way to win 33-30. Probably the most controversial game, too, in terms of talked about by the general public and media. Allen struggled. Lots of turnovers. Bills turned it over, I believe, 4 times, including 2 picks and a really bad fumble before the half. But Allen still threw for 3 touchdowns. Cook had a good game with 117, but then the aforementioned Bo Nix with no running game to speak of. I mean, they literally couldn't. They had no running game. Bo Nix was the leader in yards. That's how bad it was. Still threw for 279 and 3 touchdowns. And it was back and forth. We didn't know how it was going to go. We didn't know if it was going to be a whoever gets the ball first wins type game. But again, with the controversy, the big things, probably 2 or 3 big plays was the Cooks catch that turned into an interception that people were still back and forth if he had possession, especially for the fact that another game that we'll get to kind of had something a little similar to that. And then the 2 pass interference calls, and especially the one on the end on White, where he just went off afterwards and got a penalty, which at the time I said was dumb to do, even though the game is essentially over. But got to understand frustrations, especially over controversial calls to end the season. But Denver advances, but then somehow, some way, one of the most shocking Quinn, I think, notifications I've ever seen from like NFL Network and then Sean Payton announcing it. Bo Nix is out for the season with a broken ankle that I didn't know at first what play he broke it. I thought it was the deal before the play, but apparently it was a little before that where he like took a QB draw and went down. So he played a couple plays through that, which you got to give it to him for his toughness to go through that. But what a devastating injury to the point where everyone's saying it almost felt like both teams lost. And you can argue that maybe that's the case. Their backup is Jarrett Stidham, who hasn't started an NFL game in, I believe, at least 2 years. He plays preseason a lot. He's been in Denver for a couple of years. He knows the system well. But again, to have your first start be the AFC Championship game is wild. He only has a 1-3 record. His stats aren't exactly impressive. Like, he hasn't played a lot, so we don't really know too much about him. So just horrible news to hear. I feel so bad for Knicks family, friends, Broncos fans. Like, that's just a punch in the gut after a really great win. That might have involved some luck, but at the end of the day, they didn't turn the ball over and the Bills did. But Quinn, I'm going to let you finally speak for the first time in a while. Your reaction to Denver's win and then Bo Nix out of nowhere injury.
I do not have reactions to the games this week. I'm only depressed the Eagles are not here. I think about it daily, how the Eagles could have been. They should have been. How we shouldn't have had Kevin Patullo. We would have gone far. Anyway. Uh, perfect. So, now that Dylan's gone, we can have real talk.
No,
I mean, Eagles. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's devastating for the Broncos there, having lost Bo Nix on like the second to third to last play. But Nick Foles did tweet out like, "Hey guys, don't worry. The Patriots struggle in championship style games against backup quarterbacks." So that was entertaining. And then of course now you see all the who can they get out of retirement? Can Peyton Manning come out of retirement for 2 games maybe? Those are kind of funny, but yeah, we'll have to see Stidham how he does. He's not. There's a lot of other backups I think teams would rather have if they had to start someone. But I mean, I don't think he's the worst. I mean, I prefer him over Zach Wilson. I'm in the divisional round, but definitely rough. It does kind of feel like both teams lost there, and it happens. It's unfortunate, but definitely still a really good game. I mean, it went back and forth, um, quite entertaining there. And I mean, they played some good football, but like Dylan said, the Bills turned it over. The Broncos didn't. You feel a bit bad for Josh Allen. Excuse me, with losing here, but it was all there. It's just the team. The Bills aren't the same team they were a few years ago when they were playing the Chiefs in the divisional round and everything. They need receivers, and I mean, they just fired Sean McDermott, which is crazy. Having what 8 seasons and being there for 9 seasons and getting to playoffs in 8 of them. I think I don't know about winning a playoff game in 8 of them. Anyway, but very impressive stats there. So I was kind of surprised they fired him, but then we talked about this last season with our resident Bills fan Tom, and we I think we kind of came to the conclusion like it wouldn't be crazy if they did fire him eventually, just try something new. But then promoting the general manager who built the roster that just has fallen flat is a little head scratching. But yeah, definitely great game. Better than another game we'll talk about in a bit. Actually, probably better than a few other games we'll talk about. But yeah, good game. Disappointing for the Broncos, but we'll just have to wait and see how Stidham does.
What did you think of that Cook's call? Wanted to get your analysis on it because I personally thought because of what it was called on the field, it's hard to overturn that. But I see why Bills fans thought it was a catch because it looked like he had his knee down. We've been saying this how many years? We don't know what the heck a catch is anymore. But at the same time, when it's like live and like no slow motion, it looks like a pick. But then when you slow it down, it's close.
Yeah, I think it's you can't overturn it. Like you have to have enough evidence to overturn. And it comes down to the, I guess, mercy of what the ref called and saw in live action. Is not. I mean, a lot of people like to hate on the refs. It's not exactly the easiest job. I'm starting to get a lot of hate for it when you call plays that may ruin a game, even some for some opinions. But yeah, like you said, I think it's just there wasn't enough to overturn it, and regardless of it was close enough that you could. There's no definite answer, and that's just how the game is.
What did you think also of the two PI calls? If I were to give my 2 cents, the first one looked really ticky tacky. It looked like they were just both going for the ball. The second one felt like it was, even if it's tough to call that, but he was early, the quarterback there. But what'd you think of those two calls? Basically, got them to win those calls.
This is gonna be boring, but I agree with you. I mean, the first one's just probably could have not been called, but I mean, they did. They saw something enough, I guess. So that ref, and they're like, "Yep, that's PI." But Yeah, it's penalties are part of the game, and you gotta coach your team to hopefully not have this. But I would
And
know.
also, too, I don't want to hear many excuses from Bills fans and other fans, too. I was the one that said last week here, I've been pulling for the Bills for years to win the Super Bowl. But even I know when they don't turn the ball over and you do it 4 times, especially I can't get over that one before the half, which, like, what are you doing, Allen? Just go down. Guess
Yeah,
what?
that was
They got a field goal out of that. How much did they lose by? A field goal. Allen also missed a lot of open receivers. The one to,
yeah.
I believe it was Kincaid, one of the tight
So
ends. He was open and he overthrew him. And you're very familiar as an Eagles fan with Allen missing passes to decide games. He not the first time he did it this season. So it's tough. You got to feel bad for Allen being that emotional during the press conference. But it seems like he was the only one who actually took accountability because he's certainly more mature than the people above him, apparently, because McDermott was criticizing refs, which I get that as a coach, want to stick up for your team and the fans, but still, he
yeah,
was
the
talking
game
more
had a
about
lot of
that than taking responsibility. And then his owner seems to be a big whiny pants too, Terry Pagua, because yes, as you mentioned, Quinn, the big news is that the Bills fired Sean McDermott and promoted Brandon Beane, which, yeah, like you said, odd move to say the least. I've been hearing conflicting reports because everyone's saying, well, he built the team. But I've heard stuff that McDermott was usually in charge of drafting, at least early with the Bills. Like his first few years, he was drafting. I don't think I know as much as diehard Bills fans would. Your friend may know more about like who controls that. Maybe it was more of a collab effort in terms of who they wanted to draft. We don't know, but also too, it's tough because it's not like it's the most shocking because we've been saying this for a while, but it's a little ass backwards to not cut it clean completely to promote a dude that even if McDermott was in charge of drafting and Bean really wasn't, I think that's even worse because what the heck do you do? It's similar
yeah.
to your Eagles and Nick Sirianni. Like, what do you do here? You're promoting a dude that we have has, if it's true that it hasn't gotten full control of drafting, does that make you confident as a Bills fan? I don't think so. Promoting the dude to president of operations. So, and then the press conference Pagua had was just so weird about that Keon Coleman draft being back and forth, being like, oh, it was McDermott's decision and solely his. We didn't want him. But then there's conflicting reports that all of them wanted him. I don't understand. I don't. And it just lacks logic what the Bills are trying to do to me. It's tough for me. I'm almost speechless on doing that because I still think McDermott's a good coach. I think he'll probably get hired by someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, just a tough way to go out. I don't think the players are going to be exactly happy that he's gone. I mean, no player's happy when their coach gets fired, but a dude that I feel like people like Allen and a lot of others love to play around, no longer there. We'll see if what candidates will pop up. Maybe a certain guy that used to coordinate Allen might be coming back there. We'll see. But good for Denver, too. Got to give him credit for the win despite the Bo injury. We'll get into later if they stand a chance with Jarrett Stidham as the quarterback. But in a not so exciting game, unless you're a Seattle native or my cousin who for some reason has liked them for years, complete blowout, Quinn.
Woo!
It was literally over on the kickoff. And actually, the funny
Niners.
thing was that kickoff caused an earthquake in Seattle. That's how loud that stadium is. It caused the minor earthquake, similar to Beastquake when he got that famous touchdown. I love that stadium, man. I love that fan base. You gotta love Seattle, but yeah, it wasn't exactly over the opening kickoff, but it was kind of a sign of things to come. Because without Zach Charbonnet, who by the way is out for the season, he is all alone. Kenneth Walker, he's kind of had an up and down year. He just decided, you know what, I'm going to have my best game all season now. I'm going to have 3 touchdowns, 116 yards. Sam, you can only throw for $125-ish at a touchdown. Another game where Sam Darnold was just kind of in the background. Just no screwing up and let the players around him do the work. It's how talented Seattle is. It's insane. It almost kind of reminds you of the Niners when they were in their peak form, and it was kind of like, okay, Garoppolo, or okay, Purdy, you just need to not screw up this incredible roster. So quite ironic because now the Niners have a completely depleted roster. Their backup tight end, I think, tore his Achilles too, Tonjes, which that was rough to watch. And so were the Niners because you could just tell they were a dead team walking. We knew even after they beat Philly that this was pretty lopsided. While Seattle's fully healthy, they just kept turning it over on downs a lot. Purdy just doesn't really have the weapons around him. And really, all they had to worry about was McCaffrey, and they held him in check. And when you hold him in check, then the whole team's probably screwed. The poor defense was completely tired, and they took advantage of that. And again, like I said, with not a really big pass game, it was all special teams and Kenneth Walker pretty much. But I think Seattle clearly looks like the best team right now out of the teams left in the playoffs. Maybe it was the most lopsided matchup, but I was definitely the most impressed by them this week.
Yeah, take that, Niners. Suckers. Anyway, yeah, it wasn't a super interesting game, but fun to see Raheem Shaheed running back.
It's your favorite
opening touchdown. That was phenomenal. But yeah, not a super interesting game, but definitely gave some. It was a great game to start Seattle off of their bye week. Because bye weeks can be a little tricky sometimes with like rustiness in the playoffs, but not an issue here, and it's great momentum for them too going up against their next opponent.
I'm excited for that game. Again, we'll predict those, but on to Sunday's games. CJ Stroud. What in the ever-loving hell was that performance? This man, after his rookie year, is going on all these podcasts saying, I'm a top 5 quarterback in the league. I'm top 5, no doubt about it. I love the confidence, man. There's nothing wrong with confidence and believing in yourself. But you better back it up. And these past 2 years in playoff games, he is not one bit. And I think this was by far the worst game of his career. Especially the first half. I mean, it was just, we knew it was going to be ugly. These are 2 really good defenses. But with this elite of a defense CJ has, all he has to do is not screw up. And he screwed up a lot. I will say it doesn't help when all year they don't have a running game. Marks was atrocious. 14 carries for 17 yards. And Joe Mixon, I don't know if he just disappeared into Mars or something. They just stopped talking about him this year. I don't know what was up with him. But we saw it against the Steelers, kind of a precursor of just like CJ, especially under pressure, kind of getting scared and making rough decisions. I will say not all the interceptions were his fault. One of them, it hit off his receiver, should have caught it. The rest of them, though, were on him. The pick 6, when you just need to take the sack instead trying to just chuck it up in the air, I don't understand. I don't know what he's thinking there. Yes, his own line struggled, but he also needs to like move around the pocket and maybe stop panicking under pressure so much. He does that too often. And the Patriots did not look pretty either. Drake May got sacked 5 times. Their O-line is honestly their weakness on their team. And he had a little bit of a fumble-rooski-itis because there were so many fumbles that the Texans could have got that they didn't. He threw a pick as well, but he was more efficient, way more efficient than CJ Stroud. with 3 touchdowns. The running game was okay. Stevenson had 70 yards. But, yeah, it was Drake May in the passing game that stepped up on offense. But really, it was the defense that won the game for the Patriots. Even though it was 28-16, felt like it was more of a secure lead than that. Really didn't feel like the Texans were going to somehow come back with the way Stroud was playing. And we talk about the Steelers being in purgatory, constantly being 10-7. I mentioned the Packers were kind of in purgatory, being the 7th seed every year and losing. Texans are stuck in divisional round purgatory because they can't seem to make it out of there. I believe they're like 0-7 now in divisional round games, never been to an AFC championship. I mean, that is just brutal as a fan. And with this elite of a defense, this was a Super Bowl caliber team at defense, and they wasted it to the point where people were thinking of putting in General Mills in the second half. I mean, the man beat Josh Allen this year. Why not? But Quinn, what are your thoughts here on, for one, give the Patriots credit? I know I love to just trash teams that lose, but got to give them credit for a good performance on defense. But also, too, CJ's probably worst game of his career.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots did a nice job. I mean, the fumbles were not great at all from May, but made some pretty well. This was his first playoff game, and he didn't do too badly. I mean, yeah, the fumbles, bad, but overall, not terrible. I mean, you had Kayshon Boutte doing catching a one-handed touchdown. That was impressive. He really did pretty well overall this game. Stevenson did pretty well too, 70 yards. But yeah, not a whole lot of excitement. I mean, Stephon Diggs was back. He got a touchdown and 40 yards. But yeah, the Patriots earned the win there. 28's not bad on the Texans defense. It was pretty good. But yeah, it's like you said, all Stroud had to do was not mess up. And what did he do? One thing he couldn't do. But yeah, I saw some reports that like Stroud was kind of soft throughout the year and like he didn't want to learn a few things from the coach because like, oh no, I know how to do it. Some kind of arrogance and everything. Like, I think he was also, this is not exactly related to that, but he was on like a podcast with like Micah Parsons too, and that whole group, and that's not exactly the most humble, greatest place to be. That was, I think, after his rookie year, but yeah, Stroud, he's not making a good case for himself. His sophomore slump was bad. This year, not much better. And so, yeah, it's pretty bad when they're like, oh, do we put in the quarterback that we said we didn't want a few years ago? And like Dylan said, Mills played pretty well in the Bills game. I mean, I think it would have been interesting to have him in because they might have had a better chance. I mean, there's a lot of speculation. The Texans only scored one less point in the second half than the Patriots, so I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. But it would have been interesting to see. I get sticking with your guy in Stroud, but it's going to give some tough questions to the Texans in the future. Because like you said, defense, great. Offense, when they're healthy and with their weapons, they can be pretty good. It's just they need a quarterback too. And like you said, a run game. I don't know what happened to Mixon this year. And then Chubb didn't do well either. And yeah, Marks fumbled the ball too, in addition to his 17 yards. Yeah, ugly game, but the better team did win, which is good to see at least.
100%. Just more balanced team. Just a better team in general. Well-coached team. Mike Vrabel, what a way to turn a 3-win season to this. Pretty impressive. So, good for them. I called both championship games, and I'm happy about that. And even though the evil empire might be back, they're less evil because, they're more likable. They're more media friendly. This will be a smooth transition into the next game because Quinn, do you remember the viral moment last year where CJ Stroud was like kind of dogging Caleb Williams about like trying to improve and giving him advice and whatever because Caleb struggled his rookie year while CJ did good? There was like a weird moment there where CJ's trying to like mentor him. Since that viral moment, here's some stats for you. And this was before both teams' playoff games. So take these recent games out of the equation. Caleb Williams has thrown for 47 touchdowns and 17 interceptions with a 91 QB rating, while CJ Stroud's thrown for 36 touchdowns and 24 interceptions with an 88.5 rating. Wow. You want to talk about a complete flip of the script from the hype that we had for CJ to now. Hell, look at Bryce Young. The scripts flipped there where, yeah, he's not perfect, but we see potential in him, while CJ, we're considering if he's the guy. There's talks about, because his contract's coming up, I believe, after next season, that he's not worth the money. Which I agree. I mean, CJ, he's not a bad quarterback, but he's not, right now, he's not going to get you over that divisional round hump. So it's going to be tough for the Texans. No, it's going to be tough for the Texans to make a decision coming up. But Drake May certainly is, and that boy's going to get paid as long as, he keeps this up or doesn't get hurt. But Patriots' future, obviously a lot more brighter, and a great, ugly defensive win. On to the Bears-Rams. This was kind of the game, at least for me, kind of went as expected. I knew with the weather it would kind of be lower scoring, defensive. Both teams kind of called conservative offenses for a little bit of the game. And it was also a bit of a snowball. Kind of like the Patriots one, but this one, the snow more stuck to the ground. So hooray for snow in the playoffs. I'm always down for that. But, yeah, this was kind of like I don't want to say a slog of a game, but kind of like paint by numbers, like not a lot of scoring, good defenses throughout most of the game. Stafford didn't even throw for any touchdowns. Kyron just had 2 short touchdowns. And it really took to like the fourth quarter because of how even it was for things to really intensify. Because we might as well get right into the obvious play we got to talk about. How does Caleb Williams continue to do that? He might be one of the best like off-script players I've watched personally. I've never seen a dude back up 20 yards more often and launch it deep, and yet it works. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he gets away with it. I know coaches hate when he does that, but hey, it works. It works. And the shame of it is because they lost, that play is going to not be as remembered as much. It would have been so much more iconic if they would have won this game. But the cardiac Bears, man, they find ways to stay in them. But the turnover bug comes back to bite them. If you live by the gunslinger, you're going to die by it too. And while it wasn't fully, I don't think, Caleb's fault on that game-losing pick. DJ Moore, I don't know how much longer that man has as a Bear. They won him out of town yesterday because he kind of just stopped on his route. I guess he didn't know the ball was being thrown to him. Maybe still not a smart pass because the safety read it, but still, again, this was the theme of all postseason. If you turn the ball over, you're going to lose. Pretty much most, if not all, the teams that won had very limited or had no turnovers. That makes a difference, guys. And that's what led to the Rams to get the game-winning field goal to win. I've never seen a team that we placed so much expectations on that now people are worried about more than the Rams. Because a lot of people had them as an easy Super Bowl team. Oh, they're going to steamroll their way to the playoffs. They'll find a way to win the championship game and get to the Super Bowl. And now everyone's got doubts because they barely beat Carolina. And they let a game that shouldn't have went to overtime go to overtime. But you got to give it to the Rams, too, for proving fans wrong, saying, oh, they're an indoor team. They can't play in the cold. They're a bunch of wussy, soft people. They're not going to win. No chance. Well, guess what? They won in the cold. They found a way to do it. And Quinn, what are your thoughts overall on this game, the stunning touchdown? And do you think the Rams still have a shot despite maybe in underwhelming ways they've been playing recently?
So I'll start with this thought before it leaves my head. But man, this divisional playoff round is like so unprofessional. Like teams are just turning it over all the time. Like it's supposed to be the playoffs. It's supposed to be the best teams that don't turn the ball over. And then we're like, oh, there's at least like 3 turnovers in every single game.
Good defenses.
Interesting. Yeah. But kind of wild though. That's just like, well, bunch of turnovers. We're a bakery basically. Anyway. Definitely still entertaining, but a little like, where's all the good teams? I thought there's supposed to be no turnovers. Anyway, but yeah, no, this game wasn't too exciting. Again, like Dylan said, not entirely surprising. Yeah, and the pick at the end it's a shame. I mean, cardiac bears are the cardiac bears, kind of fun, kind of entertaining. I was kind of hoping the Bears would win just because it'd be kind of funny to see the Bears go to the Super Bowl. Or at least make it farther, but it happens. But yeah, I mean, like Don said, he's a gunslinger. You can win games with a gunslinger, and you can lose games with a gunslinger. This wasn't really, I feel like, wasn't quite classic gunslinger interception moments. This was more of just kind of a bad read, and then, like Don said, the receiver just kind of was like, DJ Moore is daydreaming about not football. He's like, okay. I think that's enough of this route.
Cancun.
No. Crap. Our route's over. As the Bears were driving, I think they could have won that game. They would have gotten a field goal and won in overtime. So that is a particularly painful way to end the season for the Bears too. Of like,
yeah,
yeah. But yeah, the Rams. They still kind of concern me. I mean, this game wasn't like Rams problems fixed. They're going to win the Super Bowl now. I feel like the confidence in the Rams since like about the middle of the season has just slowly kind of, let's say 3/4 of the way through, has just slowly kind of started going down. And I don't see this game making a huge difference. Maybe up a little bit, but it's just trending down. So like them playing the Seahawks, I feel better about the Seahawks. And I mean, that'll be a prediction later on, but like I can see the Rams going on, but I can see it less than the Seahawks advancing. Because it's just the Rams worry me a bit. Their special teams are a little questionable. Matthew Stafford can have just bad games sometimes, and the team just doesn't overcome. And like their defense is good, but it's not like it's. I would say the Patriots' defense is better. Denver's is definitely better. Texans was better, but they're going anyway. I mean, we know the Bears had a bad defense, so I kind of would have expected the Rams to score more if it hadn't been for the snow, because it's the Bears' defense this year. But this doesn't give me great hope for the Rams.
And like I said, Sean McVay called a really conservative game. There are a lot of like screen passes on third downs and running plays, almost like they were caring more about like more of just where the field was, like field positioning. It felt like that was more the priority because of the weather. I will say it shows that the Rams can win in a multitude of ways. They can win the shootouts like Carolina. They can win the ugly grinds like the Bears, but they need to piece it all together if they want to beat Seattle. I think the Bears are the one team out of all the teams that lost divisional weekend where it's like no shame. It hurts to lose, but like their future's bright. There's nowhere to go but up. Ben Johnson already was kind of like he's as tough minded as it could get because people, like the reporters were asking him, like, oh, you're going to build up from the season. And Ben's like, no, we're not building up. We're starting from day one all over again. We're starting from the bottom up. And I kind of like that mentality. It's as a fan, you could be optimistic, but Ben sets the standard and doesn't want to exactly be like, oh my goodness, we lost in the divisional round. On to bigger things, like get too confident. So I like that mentality from Ben a lot. And compared to teams like the Bills that are cursed with not getting to a Super Bowl and have all these expectations, the Texans that can't get out of the divisional round, and the Niners that can't win the big one either. The Bears are the one team where it's like a good loss. As tough as that is to say, like the future's bright. The loss stings a little bit, but we're good for the future. So
they know where to build too. Like they know their defense needs to get better. And last season they did a great job addressing the offense and signing the offensive lineman Joe Dooney. Like they did a good job there. And now I imagine they're just going to do the same thing.
They need a pass rush. They need a pass rush desperately. The stats are pretty rough to watch, but still.
Yeah, I mean, many people said they won the offseason the past, 2 years almost, and, I could see it happening again. I mean, clearly they're doing a good job lately of getting guys in, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. If they have a good defense and a good offense, then watch out.
Yeah, it finally showed on the field for once. Winning the offseason champs. Ryan Poles has done a tremendous job with them, drafting and free agency. Got to give him all the credit. But it is time to talk about coaches. Many coaches getting hired, fired, and in between. The DQ Frenzy News. And Patrick's no, ironically enough, was what a lot of coaches were saying when they got fired. So the big one, obviously, was that John Harbaugh was hired to become the Giants' next head coach. It was weird because Schefter reported it, and then others were like, wait, they haven't signed a contract yet. No, he's not hired. Wait, actually, he is hired now. So I guess it was a little bit of a delay, but yes, he is hired. The most recent one, the Baltimore Ravens, have hired a new coach. I am trying to get the name of it now because there's been so much news. It is Jesse Minter as their new head coach. He was the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. So I guess from one Harbaugh team to a used to be Harbaugh team. The Miami Dolphins. This coaching move was probably the most perplexing one, I would say, in terms of a head coach, kind of a guy who coached a good defense in Green Bay, but wasn't really well known. Jeff Hafley is the Dolphins' new coach. So from an offensive mind to a defensive mind, the Falcons hiring Kevin Stefanski as their new head coach.
Hire,
I think so too, yeah. Mike McDaniel, the new Chargers offensive coordinator, seems like a decent fit. The strict man himself, Eric Bieniemy, is back in Kansas City to prevent people from wearing backwards hats and such. And that's an actual real rumor. That's actually true. Which is insane. Mike Tomlin probably won't coach next year. It seems like that's the direction they're going in. So it looks like he's not going anywhere. And there's still a bunch of opening jobs. The Cardinals fired their coach. Trying to find. Oh yeah, the Titans have hired Robert Saleh after one of the weirdest interview cycles I've ever seen of coaches that we talked about last week. It was just hilarious, the list of interviews. Seems like they got a decent guy that has coached in a tough situation, but still interesting hire. And yeah, I think from there, I believe that's still all we have. We still have a couple other head coaching offerings. I believe there was 9 teams that had coaches that has open spots for coaches, which I think is crazy. It's the most we've had in a long time. But Quinn, what are your thoughts on these hires and some of them being rather perplexing, some of them making sense? What are your 2 cents?
So first, I'll mention someone you didn't mention because you probably didn't know. The Eagles defensive back coach Christian Parker, great guy. We're expecting him to get promoted or move up somewhere someday. Was hired by the Cowboys. Nonsense, garbage. That's why my line is the Cowboys stole from us, bastards. I wish him success. Like Dallas, really. I need to go there too. Anyway, also a little bit of interesting new rivalries, I guess. I wouldn't have hired Saleh as my head coach, seeing how he did with the Jets. The Jets are just a dumpster fire too, but I don't think Saleh helped exactly. And then after he left, all of his good defensive players were taken away too. Anyway, interesting hire for the Titans. Feels pretty on brand for them, though, to be honest. But the back last year, last year in September, when the Niners played the Jags, Liam Cohen and Robert Saleh got into some arguments involving "keep my name out of your mouth," said by Liam Cohen. And Robert Saleh was saying he is legal sign stealing, not technology, but strategies and legal stealing signals on Jags and Saleh or Cohen. Sorry, and Cohen's like, "What you talking about?" So that was rather interesting.
Well, now they're twice a year going to be coaching against
Twice
each
a
other.
year, yeah.
Is it going to make Titans Jags watchable for once? Maybe.
Maybe a little bit. And Saleh apparently said, "I will F you up." F your world up.
Sounds
actually.
like a Saleh thing to say if you watched him on Hard Knocks when the Jets were on it. That's pretty much how he is.
Yeah, apparently Cohen later noted he had a lot of respect for the 49ers coaching staff and admitted to letting the emotions get the best of him. Saleh admitted he used the wrong choice of words, but did not apologize. So that's a little interesting thing going on there. I am on Cohen's side because I don't really like Saleh because he's also on the Niners.
It's like the whole Ben Johnson controversy with a bunch of McVay's guys. That's what that reminds me of too.
Yeah, but and plus the Titans are just they're at least watchable, much more watchable actually. Anyway, yeah, I think that there's a lot of talk among Eagles fans about the Giants hiring John Harbaugh, and most of the things that were said were like, "Oh, every coach who's won a Super Bowl, gone to another team, has never won another Super Bowl." Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl, and he's going to the Giants. So history says he would not win another Super Bowl. I think it is a good hire, but another thing that was said a lot was Harbaugh is not great at fourth quarter comebacks or keeping the leads in the fourth quarters we saw recently, and the Giants are bad at that. So it's like combining two weaknesses. So maybe that'll combine to make a strength. Maybe not. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. I don't like it because I didn't want the Giants to get him, but the Giants owner, finally make a good decision, I guess. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, Eagles fans kind of wanted Mike McDaniel as our OC, but he also would have to work with Vic Fangio. I don't know how their relationship is. So that's a thing. He also apparently had a good chance at the Buccaneers offensive coordinator job. Did not take it. He's more of a West Coast guy, it seems like, anyway, to be honest. So it's fine. But he's a really good offensive mind. Eagles wanted Brian Daboll, but it looks like he's going to go to the Buffalo Bills because I found like someone he was there for a while before he became head coach of the Giants. I personally wouldn't say Daboll is an upgrade over McDermott, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, if the Bills were a little earlier, I think Harbaugh might have been a good fit, but then he's not. I don't know. We'll have to see, but Yeah, I liked Stefanski going to Atlanta. I think Stefanski's a good head coach. It seems like a good fit for Atlanta. Watch for the Falcons maybe win division next year. I don't know. I feel like okay. I don't know. Stefanski, I would trust him to be able to do that, but then he doesn't have a great track record because the Browns are just bad. But apparently, there's also beef between Mayfield and his old head coach. Something about didn't call Mayfield afterwards or talk to him or anything, just him out like a piece of trash or something to that extent. So
Gotta love drama. Gotta love drama.
yeah,
It's what keeps this
spicy.
podcast going.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a very Baker Mayfield thing to say, of like, hey, you know what, that guy, screw that guy. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of interesting things going on. Tom Brady apparently is very involved in the Raiders search for a head coach, but the openings are starting to close up a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I did think Miami hiring Jeff Hafley was interesting. Not what I expected at all. Now the Packers have to look for another DC because 2 years ago they had what's his name, who was terrible, and then they got Hafley and he was good, and then all of a sudden he's gone again. So that's interesting. Mike McCarthy hasn't been hired enough yet, surprisingly enough. Shocker. Apparently the Eagles did interview Matt Nagy, who's the Chiefs OC. I don't like that.
Well, no.
I mean, most of my dislike for hiring Nagy comes from his time as the Bears head coach. So head coach is different than offensive coordinator, to be fair, but the Chiefs didn't exactly have a good season this year. They had their worst season in a while, and they got rid of him for a reason. But for my 2 cents on the Eagles, I think at this point I would like to see the offensive coordinator from Ole Miss. He's kind of seen as a next like McVay kind of guy. I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he might either go with Charlie Weiss Jr. He could go there. His dad was a head coach, and that fellow did pretty well. But he might be going to LSU after his head coach potentially. But he seems like a good option. We also were talking about. I heard rumors about the Bears offensive coordinator as well. I want to say something about the Rams, maybe. I'm not sure, but Bears OC is Brown Bear, apparently.
Look at you doing your research because you don't know any names at all.
Well, I'm ill. Forgive me for losing my memory here. That is all.
There goes the pen.
There goes the pen.
To be more clear, since I do have the research on what teams are available, so the Bills, obviously, the Raiders, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Cardinals are still available for head coaching positions. Since you want to talk about your team all the time, I think it's about time I talk about mine and who we should hire, because I think that's probably the biggest hire, because the Steelers don't usually do this. So we've been interviewing a lot of people, whether it's virtually or in person. We interviewed Flores twice. We interviewed McCarthy a couple days ago. Shu, I think we're going to interview, depending on how the Rams do next week. Apparently, for some reason, the Kubiak brothers, we have no interest in, which I think is a big mistake. The Seahawks are the best team right now. I don't understand why you don't even look at those guys. But you look at Mike McCarthy, but it's just my 2 cents. I don't think McCarthy's a bad coach. But if you want a dude for the future, like if you hire Mike McCarthy, this just screams you want to bring Aaron back next year. And apparently I'm nervous as heck about that because it sounds like Art wants to bring him back. And I feel like the only way to bring him back is to pair him with his old buddy. And if they do that, I will lose my you-know-what on this podcast because that is just going to be another 9-8, 10-7 wild card loss season if we do that. I understand Tomlin left on his own accord. The Rooneys didn't want to get rid of him. But now that he's gone, you need to strip everything. You need to start new. Get someone young. Get rid of these coordinators, which apparently, hopefully, Arthur Smith and our defensive coordinator will be gone. I hope so. And McCarthy isn't exactly going to elevate a team. And why would he want to be part of a rebuild? At his age, a young coach would be. So I feel like I said, the only way McCarthy would even be considered is to lure Rodgers back, because I feel like Rodgers has no other options left other than us. And I just feel like that's the completely wrong way to do things, do business in the NFL. I think you need to consider guys like Flores. I wouldn't mind him, but he loves to seem to have a temper and get into it with guys. Look at him with Tua. We let him walk. He honestly should be our defensive coordinator right now, but instead we got Terrell Austin as our defensive coordinator. Just genius. But I wouldn't mind him, but I'd like someone else. Like Ashua would probably be one of my favorites. Kubiak would have been my guy, but apparently we're not interested in him. But Shua would be a nice hire to have as the head coach. A young, kind of tough-minded guy, despite being young. The Rams have a good defense. And I feel like that would help start things for the future. It depends on who we get as O coordinator, though. No more McDaniel. Looks like Dayball's probably going to be a head coach somewhere. So we'll see. That Ole Miss coordinator you mentioned that is heavily rumored. Weiss. I would selfishly like him too. I like Weiss a lot. But it's a matter of we'll see. They definitely shouldn't bring Arthur Smith back whatsoever. But this just worries me. I don't know how much I trust our owner, Art Rooney, to nail this. Hopefully what history says, usually says we get a young person. Knowing Steelers, it might be a nobody that no one even considered on their radar, considering that's how Tomlin got hired. But yeah, they need to be smart about this. At least they're taking their time. I'm happy about that. But for the love of everything, I respect McCarthy, but for the love of God, please don't be McCarthy.
Do you think you'll get an offensive or defensive-minded head coach?
History says defensive. So I just have a feeling that's the direction it's going. I mean, if Flores and Shua are the favorites, then the only offensive-minded guy right now was McCarthy that we talked to. That's pretty much it. So it just seems like defensive is what they want to do. And that's not a terrible decision, but again, you got to nail the O coordinator job. And that's not easy to do in the league. So yeah, it's going to be probably a while before we get an official coach, but yeah, knocking on wood, we nail it and we have him for another 20 to 30 years so we don't waste him too much. But yeah, the other coaches, Harbaugh, I mean, it's a good hire, but I don't know if I'm not sure I see them going to the Super Bowl with him. They might be a playoff team, but I don't know. It's still a pretty deep rebuild for the Giants, despite having good weapons. So that's kind of like a wait and see. I agree with you on Stefanski. I don't get the hate. I've seen a lot of people, your boy Colin Cowherd doesn't like this, which I think I don't understand why. I guess because he didn't utilize his boy Shador enough, even though Shador sucks. But now he's going to maybe see if he can build Penix back up. They got weapons. I like this hire by Stefanski. Maybe get your ego out the way sometimes, because we do see sometimes, getting into the beef with Baker, some weird play calling. I still remember that 2-point conversion where they took Shador off the field when he was slinging it. He's got to stay out of his way, but a decent hire. Saleh, I mean, it's not a horrible hire, but again, it's just a tough situation for Saleh. When you have a pretty good coordinating job at a playoff caliber team, and just like the Jets job, you want to go to a job that's just Like the worst team, one of the worst
Trash.
teams in football. A decent rookie, but not a lot around him. Like he better be patient enough for a rebuild. So we'll see what happens there. I low key like the Dolphins hiring Packers defensive coordinator. I mean, maybe you can argue Micah made that defense, but if we want to take this year out of account, he did improve the defense from what it used to be in years past. And maybe Miami just needs a culture change like that. Get away from the McDaniel weirdness and offensive mind and go to someone new. So, but again, another team. Most of these teams are in a deep rebuild. It's really Pittsburgh, maybe Baltimore, and Buffalo are the only ones that are like slam dunk. Like, oh, I get hired and I immediately get a playoff caliber team. So, yeah, very interesting hires indeed, and one of the more wild coaching carousels I've seen in years. Maybe Mike Tomlin will go to Buffalo because Josh Allen's intriguing enough. Maybe he won't wait for a year. But we've been talking a while. It's time to have some fun always as the segments. And while he's no longer a Steelers coach, that doesn't stop this segment at all because it is our Tomlinism of the week. But scratch that, Quinn. I want to switch it up a bit. You go first.
Me?
Absolutely.
Well,
hit the intro.
wow and ow.
Wow. Stop it! Wow! No!
Well, for this special edition of Wow and Ow, we're going to mirror how many games we had this past week. We're going to have 2 wows and 2 ows. So, let's start with the ows. First ow is just an overall Josh Allen ow.
I hate hitting that button for him. I hate it.
Yeah. I appreciate he took the blame for the loss, and like there was stuff that he certainly didn't do. But then it's rough because it feels like most of the other playoff games weren't him. But then like he just didn't have a lot around him supporting him here. It was just rough. So more of a pity boo than a you're bad boo. But it was a rough loss. And then other boo, we talked about him, CJ Stroud.
Oh, that's a gigantic.
Yeah. Come on, man. You can't be saying you're one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, then next year and the following year we crash. Nah, yeah, dude. Pull yourself together, man. You're supposed to be an NFL quarterback. Ugh. Anyway, now we're talking about is he even a franchise guy. But those are 2 wows, and then for our 2 wows, first we have Kenneth Walker. He had 3 touchdowns. Insane. Great work by him. He was really what led Seattle to the win. I'm sure they would have found a way anyway with the Niners they played. But great win by them. And this might be a little biased. But I can go with another wow of Cooper Kupp. He's kind of not been doing much since his great season with the Rams years ago. But he played pretty well. He had 5 catches on 5 targets, 60 yards, all outside of the numbers. Just really.
That's a wow. Oh, we got controversy. We got a controversial out.
I like Cooper Kupp, man.
Bias.
He was good. He's one of the highest rated wide receivers of the whole divisional round for PFF. All right, I'm not the only one who liked him. But yeah,
yes,
I like Cooper Kupp. So wow, and that's wow now.
Wow, the two Wows go to Seattle players. Go figure, right? Time to get to my Tomlinism of the week. The only reason why I had you go first was because for some reason my video didn't want to upload originally, but now it did. So, our Tomlinism of the week, another clear winner, goes to Reese Donatelli. Now, Quinn, you might be wondering, who the heck is that name? Well, I'll tell you who it is. She is a viral sensation. She is a 4-year-old girl who makes cute NFL prediction videos. She has like 2 helmets and a table, and she like picks up the helmet and says the team she's going to win. She's been doing this all season. But she has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. I feel so bad for this poor girl because in wild card predictions, she went 0-8 in wild card predictions. Didn't get a single one right. And the fans trashed her on social media in a joking way, but still. Felt bad for her, acted like she was this expert. How dare she get predictions wrong? And she didn't do much better this week.
And now, it's time for Dylan's Tomlinism of the Week.
We do not care.
Buffalo! 49ers! Patriots! Bears!
Thanks CJ Stroud for not going 0-4. But yeah, in this combined playoffs, she has had 1 win. Wow. I mean, wow. We'll see if she makes up for it. This was a little less viral. The wild card was what really was viral. There were memes all over the place of her getting every game wrong. And fans, and I'll bet you the fans of these last 4 teams are like, oh no, who's she going to pick? It's going to be a curse. CJ Stroud's shittiness was the only one to break her curse.
Wow.
But it's cool to see. It's cool to see genuine moments like that. But as cute as she is, don't listen to her predictions. Listen to ours.
You stink! Absolutely terrible, man. You're so stupid it hurts.
Because I went a good 3-1 in the playoffs if only the Bills didn't choke. But forget that week because I called those championship games. They are exactly correct from the back of the wild card game. So, boom, nailed it. Not so much for you because you had too much hope for the Eagles.
Regrets. Go Birds! Anyway, I also went 3-1. Yay, look at us. Same record. Continue to be the same record, too.
We're better than that little girl. Anyway, let's get to the AFC Championship game. The Patriots, 5.5-point favorites at the Jared Stidham-led Broncos. Before we get to the predictions of the game, Quinn, all these media pundits are probably saying they're done. Denver's done. They got no chance. We talked about Stidham earlier and his sort of experience, but also lack of it in terms of being on the field. Are you counting Denver out, or do you still think this game could be close?
A little bit of yes and a little bit of no. I could see them competing, but I don't really... If I was Doctor Strange and I saw all the scenarios in the universe of Broncos winning, I feel like there wouldn't be that many. It's going to be rough. The Patriots are a good team. I don't think they're going to have the same week they had last week, especially against the Broncos also have a very good defense. But seeing the Patriots this season, I trust the Patriots more. The backup is rough. And I know this is how it felt for Eagles fans back in 2017. But Stidham... Nick Foles is better than Stidham, I would say. Nick Foles was a starter for a while. Stidham...
I was just about to say that. As fun as it is to see Nick Foles tweet that, For one, he was drafted way back in the day as a starter. And for two, during that season, he played a lot before the big games, before the Super Bowl. Whereas Stidham, it's like, all right, buddy, no warm-ups for you. You're getting right in the biggest game of your little life. But I'll go a little higher register here. I think Denver has a shot still. I really do. I think they have a chance to possibly pull off one of the bigger upsets. I think if anybody could coach this team to win with a guy like him, it's Sean Payton. He may be a complete a-hole to the media, but boy, is he a good coach. And he knows how to coach up quarterbacks. And I think he can do that for Stidham. Keep it simple, keep it short. The Patriots defense is good but beatable. And the Patriots offense we saw last week ain't perfect. And Denver's defense is good. We saw them win a Super Bowl with the corpse of Peyton Manning when he was terrible. So I think this game's going to be so much closer than people think.
What are you saying?
I am saying that the Patriots are still going to win. Because I'm not going back on my Super Bowl pick. I'm sticking with it. I'm going with the Patriots. In a closer game than people expect, but it's Drake May. It's the potential MVP versus a backup at the end of the day. And if the game's close, it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, and you got to trust an actual starter more. So give me the Pats, unfortunately, to go to the Super Bowl.
Drake May.
Stop with that stupid nickname.
I just pulled up my preseason predictions, and I did have the Broncos getting to this game and losing to the Bills.
A week off, you were close.
Yeah. Don't talk about the NFC predictions. The Lions and the Eagles are both not here. Well, at least,
and don't talk about my Super Bowl.
Playoffs. The Lions, yeah, we won't talk about that. But we can talk about is the next game.
So you're going Pats? You didn't even say anything.
Yeah. I'm taking the Patriots, yeah. I can't take the Broncos.
Shout out to Drake May's wife. She's got a good baking show. Good for her. They deserve to go to the Super Bowl as much as I hate the evil empire. Anyway, on to the Rams at the Seahawks. I think their regular season game at Seattle was the game of the year in the regular season, where it came down to a bunch of 2-point conversions and controversy, and Seattle ended up winning. This is becoming a good rivalry for this year. And while the Rams have questions, so does Seattle because they blew out San Francisco. But Sam Darnold really hasn't had to do anything really in a while. Even the Niners finale game, he barely did much. So when this game comes down to Darnold, that's a little concerning to put the game on the line with him versus Stafford, who has all that experience in the playoffs and gets it done. That being said, Quinn, who do you got winning the NFC Championship?
I am a little concerned that the Rams caused too much trouble for Seattle. But, I mean, both times they played this regular season, the home team won. The Seattle Seahawks at home. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I like them a bit better. And I'm going to take the Seahawks. It's going to be a good game. This is probably the hardest game to predict of the playoffs so far. I mean, great teams. But I'm going to take Seattle. Don't let me down.
I think the home factor play really comes into play. That's a tough field to win in. And the Rams could have won that game. And I think this is both games are must-watch, even with Stidham, but this game's a must-watch just because these two always put on the show when they play. I'm expecting Puka and JSN to steal the show like they did the last time they played. It'll be fun. It'll be very fun. But I still got to go with the home team. I just think they're a little more complete of a team, a little more complete of a defense than the Rams. I think Seattle's played a little more consistently. Sam Darnold just has to do what he's been doing. Keep it clean. Don't CJ Stroud that ball. Keep it clean. Do not turn it over. If you do turn it over, hope your defense can create more turnovers or whatever. But I think Seattle's more complete on all three phases of the ball. I just think the Rams, the past few weeks just make me think they're just not as good as they were earlier in the season, like you said. So I can't go back on what I had when the playoffs started. Patriots Seahawks rematch of Super Bowl 49. And I'm going to
You
cry
heard it
because I'm not a
here.
diehard of either franchises.
We both agree, therefore it has to be true, that both the Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks are going to be in the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl rematch. Now,
So
let me ask
get
you-
ready for a Broncos Rams Super Bowl. I hope that
Yeah.
little girl does it. If that little girl picks the Patriots and Seahawks, we are doomed.
Yeah. Who do you want to see in the Super Bowl?
I mean, a Stidham story in the Super Bowl would be so unprecedented. Even with the Foles thing, we've never seen that before. I think that would be so amazing to see a dude that we not heard of a lot all of a sudden in one game prove people wrong and take his team to the Super Bowl. I'm rooting for Denver heavily to win. The Drake May, lovely nickname. He's fun to watch, but just for some reason, that underdog story is always fun to watch. Now they're the ultimate underdogs. Rams Seahawks, I really am kind of just neutral with both teams. I don't love either team. I don't hate either team. I didn't like Seattle in the Legion of Boom days just because Sherman and them were cocky to me. But now they're likable. They're fun to watch. I kind of just hope both teams have fun. But Seattle's hasn't been there in a while. So they would probably be a little more intrigued, especially with Sam Darnold being in a Super Bowl, the first quarterback for the 2018 draft to go to a Super Bowl while Allen and Mayfield are crying in the corner wondering, what have we done to deserve this? I think that'd be a cooler story. The Rams are good, but and Devontae's never been to a Super Bowl. That'd be cool. But Stafford has, that team has. I just feel like that would be more of a fun story to watch. But I know Pat Seahawks would also be a fun story of like the rematch of a really good Super Bowl, Seattle wanting payback from the 1 yard line throw.
Yeah.
And I think Pat's Rams is the Super Bowl no one wants to see. That's the least intriguing one.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
Yeah.
I think either way and what we get, it's good. I don't think there's any like Super Bowls we're dreading. It's not like the Niners Chiefs or the Eagles Chiefs where no one except Quinn wanted to see those. This is a fun year.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the Broncos team back in the Super Bowl because they haven't been there for a while. Seahawks are also a great shout there too, but they haven't been there in a while. Part of me likes the Seahawks Patriots because of like the kind of reminiscent. Like I remember watching that Super Bowl. That was a good Super Bowl. I think both of them actually. But
No, one of my
I like the
favorites.
Seahawks.
One of my favorite Super Bowls was that one, despite the ending.
So, yeah. But I like the Seahawks, so I'd like to see them back. We just saw the Rams recently. I don't like Nakua. He's kind of
Gee, I wonder why.
Me.
Wonder what
Just
controversy he's
punching
gotten
people.
in to make you not like him.
yeah. Just so I don't really want to see him there. I mean, Devontae Adams would be cool. And Stafford getting another one would be nice for him. But we saw the Rams, like Dylan said, not that long ago, and I don't want them back really. But they're the only team I don't want to see. I mean, the Patriots, I wouldn't love it because it's like, oh well, we see the Patriots a lot, but it's a whole new team, so it's also like Vrabel winning a Super Bowl would be really cool for him.
Yeah, that'd be good
May,
for him.
I like Drake May. It's a whole new Patriots team, but it's also a little like the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. Oh,
Just
but-
realized too, it's a conference championship games of Sean's versus Mike's of coaches.
yeah, really.
What a
But
coincidence.
yeah, I'd like to see the Broncos, but with their quarterback situation, I'm not expecting it really. I feel it's going to be Patriots. I'd like to see Seahawks, but
Moral of the story: go Broncos, Seahawks. Let's go.
yeah. Woo!
And little girl, please pick the Patriots and the Rams. But that's going to do it here for the DQ Frenzy. Apologies again for not a lot of posts, but someone had to get sick earlier this week. If you couldn't tell, whoever's listening by the pauses and the coughing, that poor man is sick, but he is powering through it like a tough Pennsylvanian would. But he will be fully healthy next week. I hope I am healthy next week. We'll see, and we will react to the championship games. But as always, we got the chills, the vibes, the coldest it takes. Have a great week, everyone. We will see you right back here next week. Whatever that little girl picks, do not pick that in your predictions.
Bye, guys.